Hey, good people. Yvette Madison here, your instructor for the course. I'm sure you know that already. I am here to kind of get us started with this week's conversation. We're just going to hit the ground running and discuss issues, or maybe I should say, first of all, we're going to address the question or the thought process of why is it still important that we discuss race, class, and gender in our society? What's going on that we still have these topics that are kind of at the forefront of kind of dictating almost the way that we interact one with another and how we define and categorize where people may fit in based on our thought process of how we intend to interact in society. I think probably the first place where we need to start is just in acknowledging that the isms are alive and well in our society. And the isms, you may be wondering about, there's a lot of them. There's several of them. And actually, I have a sheet that's posted in your module for this week that kind of defines the isms. But when I talk about the isms, when I mention that, I'm talking about racism, sexism, heterosexism, homophobia, talking about ageism, ableism, anti-Semitism. We're talking about the isms, the way that we define people, the way that we give a negative definition to specific groups of people, predetermining or being prejudgmental, dare I say, prejudicial, in our thought process of what equates to power and control. Ooh, Missy Beth, did you say power and control? Yes, I did, because that's what the isms are about. It's all about defining power and control. How do I maintain power and control when I am interacting with, when I am confronted by, when I need to learn how to navigate around a specific group of people? And now, when we talk about the isms, the thing that we have to be mindful of is that although we individually may be having some predetermined, I won't say prejudicial because I know I see some of y'all flinching, but some predetermined thoughts about folks, we have to have an understanding that when we're looking at the isms, there is a social norm, there is a standard that has been established within our society, within our culture, that sets things up, that sets up this whole mindset and this whole thought process, and it kind of backs up the legitimacy of when we begin to see either this individual prejudicial thoughts, prejudgmental thoughts turning into action, discriminatory action, or if we see it from an institutional level. Oh, ow. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm stepping on some toes, but hold on, y'all. Hold on. We're going to work our way through this so we have some complete understanding about some things. So when we're discussing the isms, we, of course, like I said, have to come to terms with, number one, that isms still exist in our society. And number two, they exist because of an established norm, something that has already been put in place that determines rightness. Who is right, who is wrong, who is in power, who is not in power, who is the oppressed, and who has the luxury of being the oppressor. Now, I'm not saying this so we can start to finger point and be accusatory of things. I'm bringing this out so that we have, honestly, an opportunity to sit back and assess our thought process, just me, myself, and I, but then also how does that pertain to, and is my thought process falling in line with the social norms that have been established? So when I say we have prejudicial thoughts, we need to come to terms, good people, that we all have prejudgments about certain groups of people. For example, I may have a prejudgment about folks who wear glasses, even though right now I have my contacts in. I may have prejudgments about folks who their favorite color is green. We all have prejudgments, predetermined thoughts, negative thoughts about certain groups of people. So our journey this week is going to be on just defining and getting an understanding of why it still matters to have conversations around the isms, around race, class, gender, sexuality in society. So there in your book for this week, there's 4 articles that I want to read, and I just want to briefly introduce these articles to you so you have an idea of what the content will be like. And again, you're just reading these articles to gain some understanding of the author's position and what they may be presenting, but I need you to put your thinking caps on. I need you to think beyond the obvious, good people, and I want you to consider how is what the author's speaking about or what they're writing about, how does that pertain to you and your thought process? How does it impact your day-to-day activities as you go about interacting with family members, with friends, with coworkers, with your peers, and the like? All right. So the first article that you're going to be reading is going to be by a poet, Audre Lorde. Now, Audre Lorde is coming with a very different perspective when we begin to explore the concept of intersectionality. Now, we're not going through intersectionality completely this week, but she just introduces that theory of intersectionality, because Audre Lorde is talking about her experiences of feeling belittled, of feeling demeaned, of the different way that she feels marginalized in society today, or through her day, I should say, depending on the role that she's functioning in. Audre Lorde is an African-American woman who is a poet, and she's also a lesbian. So she has all of these intersecting roles that she functions in, and that's what she's bringing to your attention in that first article. The second article is entitled From a Native Daughter. And this author is bringing to you information from her heritage, being a native Hawaiian, and she's talking about the differences in the history that she's learned about her Hawaiian heritage. There is history that she learned from her parents, her grandparents, from the people, and then there's a history that was in the school books. Ugh. And the differences that are there. And what does that mean to her when we're discussing, again, the whole idea of the isms as it may pertain to ethnicity? So that's what that article is going to be all about. The third article by Jeremiah Torres is called Label Us Angry. Label Us Angry. Jeremiah Torres is talking with us about an experience that he had with a friend that kind of changed his life forever. And in this article, he's going to be sharing with you not only his experience, but also the experience that his friend had and the decisions that they made and how those decisions impacted the outcome of the experience that they had. And it was an experience that they had as teenagers. And so he's going to talk about his reaction to the experience, and then he's also going to describe his friend's reaction to the experience and what that overall outcome was. And it's going to be looking at, again, these isms and how we label folks kind of determines our expected behavior from people, but it may not be the behavior that we receive or the behavior that is given. So we got to keep our eyes open on that. The fourth and final article, good people, is all about, it's entitled, It Looks Like a Demon, and it's in regards to Black masculinity and spirituality. And this article is very interesting because, again, it's talking about the cultural representations of how we define and our expectations of Black men and Black masculinity. What does that look like for Black males? Excuse me, but going a step further, how do we impose our thoughts about our expectations of masculinity for Black men? How do we impose that on Black male children? Are they even afforded the opportunity to be children, or do we pre-label them as something else? So again, this author is going to be going into information, again, from his perspective of, again, the way that Black males are labeled in our society, to the point where when we talk about how Black men are labeled in society, how does it interact or how does it interfere, even when we're looking at the ideas of, first of all, interaction with law enforcement, but also medical care. So we have different levels to this, good people. So these are the 4 articles that we're going to be talking about this week. So I'm going to ask that you just read those articles. There are questions posted in the discussion board for you, and I believe there's also an assignment for you this week. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, y'all know how to get in contact with me, either by email or on my office phone. All right, until next week, I bid you love, peace, and bacon grease.